Good evening. I would like to call to order the Seminole County School Board Leasing Court meeting, April 5th, 2022. Let the record reflect that all school board members are present. School board members, have you had the opportunity to read the minutes?
We have.
Yes.
Any objections, corrections, or notes?
No.
Hearing no objections, is there a motion to approve the minutes?
So approved.
Second.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposition? Motion carries. Under new business, I need to make a motion that the Seminole County School Board Leasing Corporation, upon the School Board of Seminole County, Florida, resolve to exercise the option to exchange the Series 2021A certificates, will execute and deliver any and all documents, contracts, instruments, and certificates necessary to effect the tender, exchange, and issuance of Series 2022A certificates. Do I have a
So moved.
So moved.
second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries, and we adjourn the meeting of the leasing court.
Thank you.
You can carry on. We will start the official board meeting in 2 minutes.
I lost Shay. Okay. No, you won't.
Good evening. I would like to call to order the Seminole County School Board meeting dated April 5th, 2022. Welcome to everyone. I have the invocation today, and this week we had the wonderful opportunity to listen to John Gordon, who is a published author, talk about culture and leadership and teamwork. And I have always loved his work and read all of his books, and just thought that I would share 3 of my favorite quotes. Every day, focus on your purpose. Remember why you do what you do. We don't get burned out because of what we do. We get burned out because we forget why we do it. The best legacy that you could leave is not some building that is named after you or a piece of jewelry, but rather a world that has been impacted and touched by your presence, your joy, and your positive actions. And great teams have grit and glue, the passion and perseverance to keep working and improving, and the positivity and connection to fight through adversity together. And I think those just reflect all of our teams here at Seminole County Public Schools, and I thought that I would share those. So if everyone would please stand and do the pledge. Okay, let the record reflect that all school board members, superintendent, board attorney, and board clerk are present. Ms. Marimus, do we have any acknowledgements? Okay. Superintendent, do we have any agenda modifications?
Yes, the addendum for good cause is marked on our electronic agenda by green flag named addendum item.
Okay, school board members, any agenda items? And roll call order is Vice Chair Sanchez, Member Kraus, Member Almond, Member Calderon, and then myself.
No modifications, thank you.
Member Kraus,
No modifications, Chairman. Thank you.
Member Almond,
No modifications, thank you.
Member Calderon,
No modifications, thank you.
and I now have no modifications as well. So we have several presentations and recognition tonight, so we will meet down on the floor.
Yes, Ms. Elwood, we will get started with our veteran.
Captain Susanna Bryan, who is also one of our school board nurses here in Seminole County. Susanna Bryan was a senior in her nursing program when Operation Desert Storm started on January 1991. Her strong sense of patriotism and her ardent desire for wanting to take care of others are what made her decide to apply for a commission in the United States Air Force. She was directly commissioned as a second lieutenant on the day of her graduation from the Medical University of South Carolina, earning a bachelor's degree in nursing in May 1991. Upon graduation, she completed the military indoctrination for medical service officers training at Shepherd Air Force Base, Texas. She served her first assignment at Langley Air Force Base, Virginia, and completed her internship there for 6 months. She was then assigned to Andrews Air Force Base, Maryland, and worked in various medical units such as orthopedics, medical surgical, ear, nose, and throat, reconstructive surgery, preoperative unit, and the VIP unit at Malcolm Grove Medical Center. As she had completed 4 years of active duty service, she decided not to extend voluntarily so that she may be able to focus on raising her 3 young children at that time. Having moved to Orlando, Florida in 1995 after separating from her active duty service, Susanna was not quite ready to shake off her sense of duty to this country and therefore signed up as a reservist at Patrick Air Force Base in Florida. She served with the 920th Aeromedical Staging Squadron as their weight management officer, as well as one of the nursing clinical educators for their medical readiness trainings. She trained extensively in battlefield nursing, chemical and biological warfare, countermeasures, and evacuation of injured soldiers. Her favorite annual tour in the reserves was her training in Germany. Her favorite voluntary assignment was when she helped augment the hospital nursing shortage in an Indian reservation at Rosebud. nursing shortages probably helped her in this job as well. Susanna had to finally leave the reserves life after 5 years, and the birth of her 4th child. Motherhood once again had to take precedence for her time and commitment. She ventured into the education system and worked at UCF for 21 years as a clinical nurse educator, and finally joined our SCPS family as a school board nurse a little over 2 years ago. Nowadays, with her 4 children grown and out of the house, she enjoys more time traveling, kayaking, and hiking with her husband, Glenn. Congratulations, and thank you, Captain Bryan, for your service to our country and our district.
School board members, Ms. Beeman. I'm Jean Van Smith with the Foundation for Seminole County Public Schools, and tonight I'm here to thank and recognize the Universal Orlando Foundation. The Universal Orlando Foundation has provided a $36,000 donation to the foundation to support the Families in Need program. This donation will help support over 1,200 students who are homeless in Seminole County Public Schools with clothing, food, vouchers for physicals, school supplies, and I know we have graduation coming up, so another resource that these funds can be used to pay for is the senior fees like cap and dues for students who are homeless. Joining us tonight, we have Valerie Reed, who's the director with the Universal Orlando Foundation and Director of Community Relations. Come on up, and thank you so much for your support.
Good evening, school board members and Superintendent Beeman. This past March, 5 students from South Seminole Academy of Leadership, Law, and Advanced Studies participated in the Ron Clark Academy's Amazing Shake National Competition in Atlanta, Georgia. The Amazing Shake is a competition that places an emphasis on teaching students manners, discipline, respect, and professional conduct so that they can grow and strengthen their soft skills. Students learn the nuances of professional human interaction as they're taught skills such as how to work a room, engage in a successful interview, and remain composed under pressure. The 3-day competition consisted of students being engaged in case scenario stations while exercising etiquette and composure. Top performers advanced to the next level of challenges until there was ultimately one overall national champion. Tonight we are honoring 7th grade students Lucas Cotto from South Seminole Academy, who placed first runner-up out of over 150 students nationwide. Lucas remain. Lucas is, I'm not finished. Lucas aspires, Superintendent Beeman, to become an attorney and own his own law firm, and takes advantage of opportunities to network and enhance his leadership skills. Joining him this evening are his parents, Walton and Wendy Cotto, his grandparents, Rogelio Lopera and Orfa Pineda, and South Seminole Academy's principal, Dr. Mia Coleman, and assistant principal and Amazing Shake coordinator, Ms. Kathleen Reed. Congratulations, Lucas.
Good job. good evening, Superintendent Beeman and board members. My name is Mike Rice. I'm the Assistant Superintendent of the high schools here in Seminole County, and tonight I get the grand job of recognizing our students who have won state championships, our student athletes, and we've got many of them here, and as I'm sure you heard them getting up and down for the pledge and stuff, heard a lot of clinging around their necks. So we're going to show off what they have done in their careers here in high school. So I want to first start off with our girls golf team from Lake Mary High School. You can come on up. So with this group, we have both the team championship as well as the individual championship. Wow, it got real loud here. The 2021 season was a banner year for the Lake Mary Rams golf team, girls golf team led by senior captain Izzy Pellett. The team captured the Seminole Athletic Conference Championship, the district championship, and the 3A state championship. At the state championship, the Lady Rams dominated the field, beating the second place team by 38 strokes. So as I mentioned, in addition to winning the team championship for the 3A state, we had senior Izzy Pellott, who was the overall individual state champion as well. Izzy, she shot an amazing 64 and was out on a par 72 course, yeah. Congratulations on that and the opening round of the state championship on her way to an impressive 6-shot victory. In addition, Izzy had 3 top finishes in all 7 tournaments the team played. Earlier in the season, she set a Lake Mary golf record with a 64 at Lane Palm Golf and Country Club in Lakeland, and has had a phenomenal career at Lake Mary, winning 9 individual titles as well as being a 3-time first-team All-State golfer and the 2021 Florida Dairy Farmers Golfer of the Year in Florida. She's been the Player of the Year in Seminole County 3 times and has signed up to play at Mississippi State University after graduation. We also have freshmen. Listen to this. Freshman Riley Knob has also had an outstanding fall. Did I say something? Oh. Had an outstanding fall as well, and she took the individual medalist honors at the Central Florida Tournament of Champions, the Honda Classic, and the Seminole Athletic Conference Championship, the 3A District 4 Championship, and placed 3rd overall as a freshman at the state championships. Congratulations, Riley. Besides Izzy and Riley, Lake Mary had 3 other strong golfers. Sophomore Aranu Fana, it was number 3 all season, scoring consistently in the 70s. Senior Angela Ann was also a welcome addition this fall with a reliable score at number 4. And last but not least, freshman Delaney Silaway made a great strides as the season progressed. So I want to congratulate Coach Dennis Birchhill, and also joining tonight is the athletic director, Mr. Rick Wires, and Dr. Mickey Reynolds, principal. Congratulations, you guys.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, next up, we have the cheerleading team from Haggerty High School. Leading this fantastic group is head coach Terry King. Coach King is finishing her 4th year at Haggerty High School. And in those 4 years, Haggerty High School has 2 state titles, 2 runner-up finishes. And in fact, over the last decade, Haggerty has never finished worse than 2nd overall, producing 6 state championships along the way. Congratulations. Loud in here again. The team is led by captains Abby O'Donnell, Ella Loreno, and Emma Johnson. The team consists of Macy Wilder, Ataya Ferreira, Jenna Martin, Kendall Jensen, Mackenzie Perkins, Jessica Ann Sorensen, Ashley Pauls, Delaney Geiger, Ava Kaplan, Kylie Williams, Peyton Wickizer, Charlotte Swinehart, Brooke Martin, and Lily Garzon. As they take their nice little picture there, I want to also say thank you to their athletic director for coming out tonight, Mr. Jay Getty, and the principal of Haggerty High School, Mr. Rob Frasca. Congratulations to the Haggerty High School cheerleading squad. All right, and next up, so that was in the large tumbling category. And next up for cheerleading also in the extra large tumbling, congratulations to Lake Mary High School cheerleading team. That's where the clinging is coming from. And so our team here. All right, so our team here is led by Coach Paige Black. Coach Black has finished in her 8th year as the coach at Lake Mary High School. And in those late 8 years, she's led the Lake Mary High School cheer team. They have won 6 titles in the last 8 years with Coach Black in the 2A extra large tumbling division. They're led by captains Kelly Marler, Sydney Meter, Alyssa Milani, and the team consists of the following 29 athletes: Aislinn Blue, Ariana Bugallo, Giada De Laurento, Allison Dole, Madison Godino, Jaden Hamilton, Faith Hamilton, Kenzie Hunt, Abby Ina, Avery Jackson, McKenna Jackson, and McKenna Jackson, Sophia Giles, Nasi Johnson, Kate Cahoe, Morgan Cahoe, Savannah Kelly, Regina Lomadico, Kelly Marler, Sarah Marler, Bailey Maston, Brooke Maston, Sydney Meter, Alyssa Milani, Lainey Pruchuolu, Lydia Ross, Avery Sauls, Kara Stoner, Kylie Topoleski, and Krista Venaccio. Congratulations, Lake Mary cheer team. Next up, we have the individual weightlifting snatch state champion and competing in the 154-pound weight class from Haggerty High School. Let's congratulate Haley Files. At the FHSAA state finals, Files produced a lift of 145 pounds in the snatch event to earn the state title. Haley also finished 3rd in the traditional event with the 165-pound bench and a 185-pound clean and jerk for a total of 350 to earn her 2nd medal of these state championships. Also joining here tonight is Principal Rob Frasca and Athletic Director Jay Getty and the head coach David Attaway. Congratulations, Haley. Next recognition is going to be the weightlifting state champion from Winter Springs High School, competing in the 101-pound weight class, Jillian Vinci. And also joining her from the 129-pound weight class, state runner-up Alexandria Green, both from Winter Springs High School. Come on up and let's recognize you. Both of these ladies also captured the individual conference, district, and regionals championships while leading our squad to the conference, district, and regional team titles as well. Their team's 3rd place finish was the 4th top 5 state finish over the last 5 years. And leading this fantastic group is head coach John Mosier and assistant coach Jesse Lopez. Also joining the team tonight is Principal of Winter Springs High School, Papa Gaff himself, Pete Gaffney. And our Winter Springs High School coach, Jesse Lopez. Congratulations to Jillian and Alexandria. Uh-oh, we got a war starting in here. All right, next up is going to be a young man who finished in the 120-pound state runner-up for the boys weightlifting from Winter Springs High School. Please join me in congratulating Ryan Phillips. Winter Springs has a pretty darn good wrestling program over there, and they have, Ryan became the 28th state finalist in Winter Springs wrestling program history, but just the 4th sophomore to achieve this feat. Also joining him tonight again is Papa Gaff, Pete Gaffney, and Winter Springs wrestling coach Brian Black. Congratulations to you, Ryan. Last but not least, our next recognition will be a young man who finished as a state runner-up for boys wrestling from Hagerty High School. Please join me in congratulating Camden Harrison. Camden's season included a second-place finish in the SAC championships, a district championship, a regional championship, and an overall record of 53-9 in the 160-pound weight class. Also joining him tonight is Principal Hagerty High School, Mr. Rob Frasca, Athletic Director Jay Getty, and the Hagerty High School head coach, Scotty Diaz. Congratulations to you, Camden. And congratulations to all of our state championship winners and runners-up. You guys make us proud and continue to do so. So thank you and congratulations.
Good evening, board members and Ms. Beeman. We're going to transition now to administrator introductions. And this is a great evening because we're going to be welcoming a very experienced individual to our team at SCPS, but that also means we're going to soon wish a great retirement to one of our treasurers here at SCPS. So the East Coast Technical Assistance Center, or ECTAC, is a membership organization of 47 Florida school districts, and SCPS is proud to be the host and fiscal agent for ECTAC. ECTAC provides technical assistance on federal and state policy, particularly the complexities of the Every Student Succeeds Act and the regulations that bring us and all of our colleague districts our federal funding. And the benefit to SCPS of hosting ECTAC is that at no cost to Seminole County taxpayers, we get to be first in line for technical assistance and always benefiting from the expertise of the ECTAC professionals. We will, again, be wishing a happy retirement to our current ECTAC director, who has 5 decades of experience in Florida education, Margie Murray. Thank you, Margie, for your service. And now I am proud to introduce the new director of the East Coast Technical Assistance Center, Dr. Maria Longa. Dr. Longa. Dr. Longa holds a Master of Science degree in Business Management and a doctorate in Educational Leadership from the University of Florida. Dr. Longa is formerly an educational consultant at the Bureau of School Improvement for the Florida Department of Education, but has spent the past 18 years as a federal and state grants and program administrator serving school districts in Florida. She also is currently serving as president of the Florida Association of State and Federal Education Program Administrators, that's FASFEPA, and also currently the vice president of the National Association of Federal Education program administrators. So we're getting a true expert here on our team at SCPS. And tonight, Dr. Longa is joined by her husband, Dr. Keith Belton. Welcome to SCPS.
Good evening, board members and Superintendent Beeman. I would like to introduce Gregory Long as your new Director of Purchasing and Distribution Services. Gregory comes with a long list of experience, started his career in procurement in 1991 at the school board at Alachua County, Florida. He has worked for another school district, 2 private Fortune 500 companies, and in higher education. He has received his Bachelor's of Science in Marketing from Virginia Commonwealth University, a master's degree in procurement and acquisition, and a master's degree in business administration from Webster University, and holds a certified public procurement officer certificate. Mr. Long has resided in Seminole County since 1993 and has been married to his wife, Kathy, for 19 years. Mr. Long has a son named Connor who attended Crooms Academy for 2 years and is also a proud grandfather. So please welcome Greg.
Board members, I skipped a step. I need a motion to approve the agenda outline.
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay. Thank you. We have focus on student achievement.
Focused on student achievement with Dr. Wysong and Ting. Go ahead and ask to get started. Okay.
For next school year, and this is the rollout of an updated plan. So I'm joined by Derek Jensen, our Director of Teaching and Learning, Tiffany Spradling, our Coordinator for K-12 Math and Science curriculum, and we're going to walk you through some changes for next year. As you are well aware, we have been deep in the transition for academic standards in the state of Florida, but for those who may not be as familiar with these adjustments, back in January of 2019, our governor, by executive order, called for a review of the Florida standards that are now sunsetting, and the result of many months of work by teams of Florida educators are the new BEST standards, the benchmarks for excellent student thinking. And so, as we've discussed multiple times this year, we're preparing for a very large instructional shift for 22-23. That, of course, begins with new state content standards. Specifically in grades K through 12 math, we have the new mathematical thinking and reasoning standards, which is a set of standards that are the same, whether you're 5 years old or 18 years old, the same skill sets being taught to students. We also have several new course code options in math, new instructional materials, some of which you've already approved, more of which you will ask for your approval of this evening. And then along the way, with all of those changes, we also have to develop thousands of new lesson plans for all new course frameworks K through 12. In the course of really looking at the best standards and understanding what our students will be learning starting next year, we also realized that we had to take a look at mathematics progression specifically related to how we accelerate students. And again, we know that the key to Seminole being ranked first in STEM education for students participating in advanced coursework such as calculus and physics is a jumpstart in elementary school on acceleration in math, not just for a small handful of students, but for students at every elementary school. And so we've approached this work very carefully over several months because we know that this is a major high-stakes system decision. And I want to thank my colleagues, the assistant superintendents who oversee our schools, as well as our principals and many department staff members who have sat through this presentation multiple times, provided feedback, considered all of the different angles so that we truly make the best decision for our students and families. So I'm going to turn this over to Mrs. Spradling. She's going to walk you through the acceleration plan, and then Mr. Jensen is going to then zoom out and give you the complete picture of the K through 12 math progression for next year, and then we'll wrap up with some other impacts.
Good evening, Superintendent Beeman and board members. On the screen here, you see the current model for our math acceleration in elementary and in middle school, which we call PRIMES and GEM. In PRIMES 4, that you see on that table, our fourth grade course, students currently learn all of the grade 4 maths, our current standards, and selected fifth grade math standards. They use 2 sets of instructional materials for both grades 4 and 5. When you move on to our PRIMES 5 course, which is, of course, in fifth grade, students then learn the balance of those fifth grade math standards, along with selected sixth grade math standards. And these students also use instructional materials from both grades 5 and from our sixth grade course, which you see there on the screen. Finally, this model that's unique to SCPS finishes with GEM, and that is where students complete the balance of the sixth grade math standards via a virtual bridge project that utilizes Khan Academy. And the course then aligns instruction to the seventh grade advanced course, and that serves as the pre-algebra prerequisite so that those students can then enroll in Algebra 1 honors as seventh graders. And like the other courses, you see that they also utilize 2 sets of instructional materials. In PRIMES and GEM currently, our students take the Florida Standards Assessment, or FSA, for their current grade level. Okay, go on to the next slide. Oh, I'm sorry, that's me. Okay. So as we were preparing to align our new SCPS acceleration plan to the best standards, we considered the following. First, we wanted to discontinue the school-based purchases of multiple texts in our accelerated courses for 2 reasons. First, cost, and also to streamline the instructional materials to support clarity and consistency for our teachers, students, and families. Second, because standardized assessment is tied to the student's grade level currently instead of the course standards he or she learns, a student learns, we wanted to make sure that inconsistencies did not pop up across our schools in how and what standards are taught. Third, as you saw on the last slide, there is a strain on GEM to essentially cover 6th grade standards and that pre-algebra prerequisite that we want students to have to then enroll in Algebra 1 honors. And finally, we know, very importantly, that there are mixed parent perceptions about the goals and expectations for what to expect in PRIMES and GEM. So as we took in these considerations, we want to introduce a new streamlined acceleration model for elementary and middle to replace PRIMES and GEM that we are proud to call RAMP. Okay. RAMP stands for Rigorous Accelerated Math Pathway, and that acronym was chosen strategically, which I'll explain on the next slide. The model will be in place beginning in the upcoming 22-23 school year, and RAMP consists of 2 courses in elementary, RAMP 4 and 5. So in RAMP 4, students will learn selected complementary best standards from grades 4 and 5 that are strategically integrated into a 1-year course. Teachers and students will have complete sets of instructional materials from both grades 4 and 5, with guidance for teachers on how to use those together. In Ramp 5, students will learn the best standards for 6th grade only. Students and teachers will be able to use one set of instructional materials to guide their instruction. And then if you move down to 6th grade, in middle school, we have eliminated the need for the GEM course, and will instead use the course code Grade 7 Accelerated, which is the new course name for that Grade 7 Advanced as we transition to the best standards. So this course also on its own has one set of instructional materials and course expectations for all the stakeholders. The FAST assessment that students will take will better align with the standards that are taught, and we know that the progress monitoring design will help teachers and families have a better understanding of how their students are progressing in the knowledge of those standards. Okay, so we are very excited for this new program and what it will offer for our students in Seminole County. First, the program is aligned to the instructional expectations of the best math standards. Because of their incredible vertical alignment between grade levels, we are able to make that strategic integration of grades 4 and 5 into a cohesive one-year course. Also, as Dr. Weissong shared, RAMP really aligns with the expectations of the mathematical thinking and reasoning standards, or MTRs, because they support students' processing of math and meeting them where they are on their math progression, on their math journey. Second, the clarity of the course goals and expectations will help all stakeholders so that our goals are clear across the district and meet our diverse students' needs and goals. Third, as I mentioned, the RAMP acronym was chosen strategically. We love it, because we know that in order to meet students' growing and changing needs and goals, we need to provide multiple points throughout that journey where they can enter the program, exit the program, and even re-enter the program as those changes happen throughout their time in elementary and in middle school. We know that options are how we provide access to our students, and Mr. Jensen will speak a little to that in a few moments. Finally, streamlining of instructional materials, of course, creates clearer expectations and reduces expenditures district-wide. All right, so communication about this new plan has been of the utmost importance so that all stakeholders feel prepared and supported as we implement this new program in the upcoming year. So throughout fall 2021, Mr. Jensen and I conducted focus groups with teachers across the district and asked about their needs for math acceleration. Our teaching and learning math team developed an initial draft for math acceleration that, as Dr. Weissong, was discussed in multiple sessions, multiple meetings with our assistant superintendents, with assessment and accountability. A lot of different people were involved, and I'm grateful for each and every one of them for their feedback. So from there, it was presented to K-12 principals in February for some feedback. Then unique introductory videos were provided both for teachers in schools and also for school counselors so that they could get kind of their own view. Teachers, obviously, for the instruction piece, school counselors so that they can support students with scheduling and with guidance, right? And each of them were given a chance to give feedback to via a unique survey. And then next Monday, a video created exclusively for families will be sent to our families of students who are in grades 2 to 5 so that they can hear about this program even further and in even more detail. And then at the end of the video, they too will receive a survey link so that they can ask questions about the whole program, right? Acknowledging that individual questions should obviously be directed to schools. So with that in mind, I will pass it off to Mr. Jensen, who will speak more broadly about the K-12 math progression on the next slide.
Thank you. As Dr. Weissong said, this slide is really a zoomed out view that kind of places our RAMP program inside of the context of the greater K through 12 math programming we have here in Seminole County. And first of all, I just have to thank Michael Lawrence's communications team, who you all know do just an amazing amount of work behind the scenes to make these types of resources for our teachers, students, and family. Specifically, Maria Iftikhar and Dahari McIntosh worked with Tiffany and I extensively on building communication for families that would be useful and helpful as they navigate, placing, making placement determinations about their students. So each row on this pathway kind of represents one one kind of traditionally conceptualized pathway within our K-12 math progression. And so that top light blue one is what a lot of us would consider the traditional math progression, where it's, 5th grade math in 5th grade, 6th grade math in 6th grade, ultimately culminating in high school with taking Algebra 1 in 9th grade, Geometry, Algebra 2, and then, as you see there, along with the adoption of the best standards, there are a number of new high school math electives, math courses that are kind of tailored to individual student interests and needs, whether it's kind of business, college, different programming and goals they have for themselves. And so the students really have, and you can see them listed there under high school options. There's a robust selection of kind of high school options for students, again, to on and off ramp into. That second row is really beginning with the RAMP program in 4 and 5, and this is our math acceleration pathway. So that dark blue row starts with RAMP 4 and 5, and then continues into our 6th and 7th accelerated courses. So this is what you would traditionally consider our accelerated or honors pathway in that second row. And that culminates with Algebra 1 being taken in 8th grade instead of 9th. And again, you can see the progression past that and some additional high school course options in math beyond that. The third row is kind of the most accelerated pathway, and this is what you would consider to be the old primes and gem pathway, and now the new ramp and 7th grade math accelerated pathway. That's where a student would go from ramp 4 and 5, be very successful in those courses, and then jump straight into math 7 accelerated as a 6th grader, so they can take Algebra 1 honors in 7th grade, and then geometry in middle school, preparing them for some very high level coursework if they choose in high school. But again, there's that robust menu of high school options, so even when they get to high school, they have a lot of choice as to what kind of courses they take, even if they go on the most accelerated pathway, which I think is important. Another important piece of this graphic, I think, is the arrows, which can be a little confusing at first, but there's a key on the graphic that illustrates that our solid arrows are what you might consider our more traditional progressions, like what more common progressions, things that a majority of students might take sequentially one after another. But those dotted arrows represent a lot of those on and off ramps that students might take, alternative things that are chosen based on each student's individual needs and goals. And that's really what this progression and what our math progression is designed around, is meeting every student's unique learning goals. And so one example that Tiffany gives a lot that I'll kind of narrate for you is, a student who finishes 3rd grade and maybe moves into 4th grade ramp and is exposed to those 4th and 5th grade standards, could be successful, moderately successful, unsuccessful, but maybe determine that they, those 5th grade standards are coming a little too early for them. And so they off ramp at that point, and they decide to just go into Math 5 after that. So they move from that dark blue ramp 4 to the light blue Math 5. They already have almost a primer for Math 5 because they've been exposed to some of those standards in ramp 4. They're very successful in Math 5, and they decide they want to accelerate again in middle school. And so they move back into that Math 6 accelerated track with the goal of eventually taking Algebra 1 as an 8th grader. We could narrate 100 different pathways through this matrix for you, but we hope that this is a useful tool for our teachers, students, families, and guidance counselors as they make decisions for students. And with that, I'll pass it back to Dr. Weissong to kind of wrap us up.
So just an additional note on this graphic, board members, as you're aware, each of our schools curriculum guides, and obviously our goal here is to move to a unified graphic so that as families navigate different schools, and with that, we know that there will be adjustments to this graphic as we implement and as we learn and change as a system. And so the full handout does have a revision date at the bottom, and we'll continue to update. And I think what Mr. Jensen said is important. There are many other arrows. There are many ways to do this. And so the common graphic doesn't explain everything, but it's meant as a conversation starter between families and schools about what makes the most sense for their own student. I think the other key takeaway is, again, we we do say goodbye to the primes and gem model at the end of the year in order to make way for this piece. And certainly those who developed and then sustained primes over the years built that model that gets us where we are today. It was an incredible excellence and equity strategy, and RAMP is just the next step in that journey. But really, for me, the key letter in the RAMP is the P, the pathway piece. We don't want people to see the progression as a locked-in track. Sometimes you heard, we'll have a family say, well, if I put my child in accelerated math in 4th grade, you're going to make them take calculus BC in 10th grade. That's not where we want to be. We would love for students to go down that pathway, but if that's not the best pathway for them, there are numerous off-ramps to different tracks here or different pathways here. And so certainly that's the overarching goal of the model. And finally, we're very excited as a whole instructional leadership team to really engage with parents about how they can work with their students again with math. I know that's been a common concern, and even this first outreach from the district level to this first video to talk about families, to talk with families about math, we hope to continue that conversation with our families in Seminole County. The last piece of this is structural. As we roll this out, board members, you'll see eventually some adjustments to different documents that you're familiar with. So there'll be some adjustments to the student progression plan this summer. We know that our school improvement plans will be modified to take a look at this new model and this data, and then follow the usual process this fall. We'll update the strategic plan because there is so we'll have that conversation when it's time. Thank you.
Thank you all for, I know a lot of thought and preparation went into this, and I love how there's a lot of different off-ramps and ability futuristically to change. I know we live in a real transient community now more than ever before, so for children moving into Seminole County who don't have the luxury in their current school district of having that accelerated 4th or 5th grade math, is there a way for them to jump on an accelerated pathway later than that? Okay, because I'm not so sure if somebody moving here from New York knows that they want to put their son or daughter into this.
I think that having like the robust communication helps that situation, right? But also, and that is the purpose, right? There is almost a point in every grade level where you could on-ramp onto this pathway, and just communicating with families from the get-go that these are options unique to Seminole County.
My concern is that pivotal Algebra 1 year, right? Because we know that those students who aren't successful in it, and it's tested statewide, that it's usually because of a gap of one of their prior maths or in pre-algebra. And I'm just hoping we don't widen that gap for those students, that we have numerous opportunities for them to learn it. And if I could, Madam Chair, one other question. And I know the slide can only handle so many math courses, but if we have the opportunity, if the state of Florida opens it, I know not all of our students should or could go to college when they leave, so they might not all be accelerated, but I want them to be able to be successful in the workforce. And I've heard time and time again, specifically from construction companies, that they need some really intense math to be able to calculate how much they need in the wood in a room or things like that. So if the state of Florida ever opens up a course code for that, I'd love a vocational track in math too, because it's really for them to be successful, whether it's in HVAC or construction or whatever. There's a lot, and automotive too, right? Because everything's all computerized. So I would love to add that to our basket. Thanks.
First of all, thank you all so much. You took so much time and energy and preparing this along with your committee. I am extremely impressed. I think I told you that personally as well. I know that the state has signed off on the financial literacy course, the half credit. Will that be embedded in this, or is that something totally that's everybody's mandated to take that, but that does not count towards any math? I just want to make that clear.
Correct. The financial literacy requirement, that I believe begins for ninth graders entering in 23-24. That will actually be a social studies half credit.
Oh, okay.
Because the focus is on the learning about the finance. Certainly math will end up being a
Right.
component of that, but it's not the primary focus.
Fabulous. And I mentioned this last time. I know that the books and the teacher's editions and all that, and you guys are going to have trainings with everybody. When do we plan on having materials available for everyone?
Assuming all of the supply chain pieces, assuming all of that is running well, we should have new materials here the third week in June, right after we've completed the surplus of materials that are no longer aligned. So basically, all of that will leave to surplus, and then new delivery should come in right after that. And then materials will be ready for best summer ever. That's certainly the goal. If there is any type of delay on the print materials, we do have full digital access to the new instructional materials, and so we'll work from there until trucks arrive.
Fabulous. Thank you all so much.
Any other questions? Go ahead. Just comment. I appreciate your presentation today. Thank you. And you shared the best standards with us a few months back, and I'm very hopeful for a smooth transition. I found them to be very rigorous, but also easy to understand.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well done.
Thank you.
Okay, board members, any items for discussion? Member Sanchez?
No, ma'am.
Member Kraus?
No, I do not. Thank you.
Member Almond?
No, ma'am. Thank you.
Member Calderon?
No, Madam Chair.
And I have none either, so we move into public comment. Vice Chair, would you read the statement, please?
Sure. The purpose of the public participation segment of the board meeting is to allow the public to address matters within the... Oh, that's okay. The public to address matters within the board's jurisdiction and not for resolving
Public participation and
grievances
board.
or disputes.
As this
We're trying to get Jed in his last meeting.
Oh, man. We need to celebrate him.
Yep.
Public comments related to education, the board agenda, and the district are welcome and encouraged. To maintain orderly conduct, the public comment segment of the meeting may not be used as an open forum to discuss matters unrelated to education, to support or oppose candidates for public office, including presentation of political and/or campaign issues, announcing candidacy or campaigning, or to engage in commercial speech tempting to sell a service or product to the board or to the public. Nor is it a forum to address matters involving disciplinary actions of any kind, pending claims, complaints, or litigation against the district or district personnel. Also, public comment is not a forum to engage in personal attacks against the school system employees or board members. Statements made by member or statement made by a member of the public shall be limited to 3 minutes duration. One designated group representative speaking on a proposition before the board will have a maximum of 6 minutes. No speaker may yield his or her time to any other person. Substitutions of speakers will not be allowed except in exceptional circumstances as determined by the presiding officer. Speakers shall direct their comments only to the board and may not address the audience or other speakers. This policy does not prohibit the board from maintaining orderly conduct or proper decorum in a public meeting. Thank you.
Okay, we will start with Dan Smith, followed by Denise Hernandez.
Sorry, I was prepared. Sorry. Good evening. My name is Dan Smith. I'm a Seminole County resident. I'm employed by Seminole County Public Schools. I currently serve as the president of the Seminole Education Association. And tonight I would like to address the problem with the continuing increase in the teacher shortages in Seminole County, and also like to offer some solutions. As we speak, Seminole County Public Schools is 97 teaching positions short, and not including the 161 teachers who are on leave at this particular time. The teacher shortages affect Seminole's children, students, more than any other group in our family. Teacher reappointment is going to take place in about 3.5 weeks, the first week of May. And of the 4,549 teachers we currently have, 3,097, or 68% of our unit, will find out in 3.5 weeks whether they have a teaching position next year. They don't know at this point. Not a single one of them know whether they have a position or not, because by statute there's no criteria nor obligation. The 2011 Student Success Act ended what the public refers to as tenure in Florida. For purposes, that's fine, although Florida teachers didn't receive tenure prior to that, unless you go back to the 1970s. But the teachers were eligible professional service contract or continuing contract, which at best just meant that they would be able to have a position. Teachers hired in Florida beginning in 2009 would become career annual contract teachers. Now at the time there was some concern statewide in 2011 that Florida was going to have a teacher shortage because of the Student Success Act, because our teachers could have gone to 42 other states and had job protection and security and frankly higher pay. But soon afterwards the SEA in Seminole County met and did work together with a plan, and were able to assist helping these perpetual annual contract teachers get some type of position based on their evaluation model, meaning simply if they were effective at least for 3 years, they would have a position the next year. Now, unfortunately, when 2018 turned around, the legislature eliminated that. And as you know now, school boards cannot, under any circumstance nor under criteria, guarantee a position to annual contract teachers beyond the 1 year. And that's a paraphrase. It's not a quote by any means. So these teachers wait until the first week of May when they're scheduled to meet with their principal to find out whether or not they're going to have a teaching position. And the teacher's giving a letter, either you will be recommended for a teaching position next year or you will not be recommended for a teaching position next year. So it's a tough situation because this is statutory, and I could not be a public educator and request nor advocate for breaking the law, okay? But I'm asking that it not be just cut and dry. And the reason I'm summarizing this is because we have an unprecedented teacher shortage. And in 3.5 weeks when they get these calls, there is some concern that we have some teachers who have just completed 12 years of teaching that might not have a job next year. 12 years into a career, and they may not have a position next year, all right? And it's a difficult school year, last year as well. Last year we had 220.
Dan, your time is up. Your time is up.
I didn't see.
3 minutes on a non-agenda item.
Do groups no longer get 6 minutes?
On agenda items only, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Denise Hernandez.
Good evening. My name is Denise Hernandez. I have 3 kids in Seminole County Public Schools, and I'm currently a resident in Winter Springs, Florida. In the past, I've brought to the school board's attention my concerns with the direction of Indian Trails Middle School in regards to discipline, school safety, as well as concerns with the school's leadership, with their lack of communication and transparency with parents. Since the last school board meeting, I've had the opportunity to meet with the principal, our dean, and the SRO on campus regarding concerns. However, I feel that our conversations were left with good intentions, but with little action, which seems to be the common trend that a lot of our parents at Indian Trails are experiencing with this leadership team. Communication seems to come with prompting from the parents and not out of authentic concern or genuine leadership ability. 2 examples I'd like to bring to your attention in regards to the lack of transparency and communication with parents is the continued escalation of fights. Recently, there was a fight between 2 individuals in which one was body slammed and the other was tossed over railing. My concern is not the circumstances of the fight. My concern is that the fight was allowed to continue for about 1 minute without any intervention from any school personnel. In fact, it was students who broke up the fight. So that was one of my concerns. Again, not the circumstances behind what started the fight, but the fact that safety has been a concern of parents, and yet fights have continued to escalate with little discipline, and a little transparency with parents to make them feel that their students are in a safe learning environment. The second concern I'd like to bring to your attention is the lack of communication and transparency to parents is regarding a school shooting threat that was on campus. The day of the threats, parents did not receive any communication regarding the threat. It was actually brought to my attention by a group of parents who said, "Hey Denise, I heard that there was a school threat on campus with a faculty member's name and a couple of initials on it." Of course, it was 7 o'clock at night. We had not received any communication from the school, so I called local authorities to in fact confirm that there was a report on this incident on campus, and Winter Springs Police and Seminole County Sheriff's Office confirmed, yes, there was a threat. The next day when I did meet with the SRO, he also confirmed the threat, but when I met with the SRO, there was a group of parents who were concerned because they had already heard that there was a school threat on campus in which we weren't notified with. And upon meeting with the principal to address this concern, her response to me was, it was handled, Mrs. Hernandez, and the reason it was not reported to the parents is because, of course, it was unfounded, but there was no date on it, so we couldn't ensure when it was going to happen. So I asked the school board to assist parents with getting the transparency that they need to help our students feel safe in their schools.
Robin Oldson, followed by J.J. Holmes, then Allison Holmes.
What was the first name?
Robin Oldson.
Good evening, my name is Robin Oldson. I live in Seminole County. I have 2 kids currently attending schools in Seminole County, 1 child at Indian Trails Middle School, 1 at Oviedo High School, and I have concerns I'd like to discuss. First concern is the lack of transparency from the schools and higher leadership, and communication to us and parents has been horrible this year. When disruptive events are taking place in the school, why are we as parents not getting the details? Who is in charge of the communications we are receiving? Are there levels of approvals that a message from the school must go through prior to being sent to us as parents? First concern. Second, the increased behavioral issues at Indian Trails, and it does not seem to be getting addressed. Are you aware of the increase of daily violence and bullying in this school? Are you aware that teachers are being insulted, cussed out, and having them stuff thrown at them? What is the school board leadership going to do to better support the leaders and teachers at our schools? From the transparency, there's been multiple instances of communications. March 3rd, we had the walkouts about the parents' rights of education. Communications came out to us, told us it was a very peaceful thing, no disruptions to our school. When you get home and you talk to your students about what happened, that is not the case. Oviedo High School had violence. Kids were sent to the hospital and there were suspensions. That does not sound peaceful to me. Indian Trails, students are standing on tables. There's hollering. Kids aren't allowed to participate. Some are. And then all these massive text messages come home to us as parents. This does not sound like non-disruptive, and it does not sound like transparent communication. We are trying to find out, why can we not have transparent communication to us as parents? My question is, so why, in response to the graffiti, an email was sent out acknowledging the information circulating on social media. It was found that it was, went to the state, law enforcement had been notified, an investigation done, no credible threat existed. But it wasn't until 10:24 the next morning that we were notified. Why were we notified? Because parents were pulling students out. We were bombarding the administration looking for questions and we couldn't get it. And then we get this communication talking about campus graffiti. So I want to know who makes the decisions on notifying parents so we can be informed. You need to educate us with truthful, transparent information and then let us make the decisions for our families. The poor decisions to not notify parents caused chaos, panic, and a larger gap in the relationship between the parents and the school. With kids having access to social media, cell phones at the schools, there is no keeping these things quiet anymore. Leadership cannot sit on information and expect that parents will not hear about it. That is very unrealistic, and it's a very ignorant approach to handling difficult situations and topics. The second one is behavioral issues at Indian Trails Middle School. I'm trying to figure out who monitors the compliancy for code of conduct, who is in the process of escalation to repeat offenders, and who monitors to ensure compliancy. What is the county doing to combat the behavioral issues that are increasing in our schools? Who is in place to be the advocate for the students that are being bullied? I'll end it with this. Ignoring these issues will only cause more issues because students will start standing up to the bullies if the school doesn't stand up for them. If you do not want students to take matters into their own hands, then you better start holding students and their parents accountable for their actions. I'm asking the board to get out behind your desk, get engaged with these schools, and really listen and look at what's going on. We need help. The schools need support and individuals that are trained in dealing with behavioral issues that are in our schools that we are facing. We need to compensate our teachers better and give them better support in the classrooms. We are losing credible teachers who love our kids but just can no longer take crappy salaries layered with a lack of support and increased disrespectful behaviors from the students, and that continues to be ignored by our leadership. I acknowledge parents also own a part of this,
Ms. Olson.
and that's why I'm here tonight.
Thank you.
Hold on, hold on. You okay? All right.
Superintendent Beeman, members of the school board, my name is J.J. Holmes and I've been canceled. Canceled by a radical, extremist governor in the so-called freest state in America. The freest state as long as you're a white, straight, able-bodied, unvaccinated Christian conservative. Otherwise, you'll be canceled. And Republicans are the ones complaining about cancel culture. You know, we even have a school board member that actually wanted to stop one of our meetings to thank DeSantis for pushing his radical agenda. She said, quote, "I am just so grateful that maybe we should pause for a moment, that we have a great governor." Unquote. A great governor? I don't think it's great that his advisor calls people like me retards. I don't think it's great that he's trying to erase the LGBTQ plus community. But you know what I do think is great? Nikki Fried being a member of the cabinet in Tallahassee. In fact, I am just so grateful for Nikki Fried that maybe we should pause for a moment to appreciate having a strong, qualified, powerful woman in Tallahassee who's willing to stand up to Ron DeSantis. I'm going to leave you with a quote from Commissioner Fried. The people of the state of Florida will not be suppressed. Their voices will not be shut down. They will rise up. They will see Ron DeSantis for who he is. An authoritarian dictator. Members of the school board, I am begging you not to DeSantis our democracy.
Order, please.
Well, Shimana's right.
Alison Holmes. So I said I'd be back to let you know about JJ's accessibility.
Well, if the rest of 11th grade students have to climb in windows to enter the high school instead of going through the door, and then if they're blindfolded before any assignment is given, and then if they complete everything without seeing any of the content and speak aloud all their responses, and give verbal instructions throughout to tell the teacher where to navigate to, then yes, JJ has access. But if what I've just described sounds as ridiculous to you as it did to me when your assistant superintendent claimed that sort of presentation meets the definition of accessible, then we're in agreement that almost everything is inaccessible. So as of today, that's where we are with access. But while I'm here, I wanted to add something to what another speaker mentioned last time. He spoke about contacting our legislators to voice support for teachers. And yes, contacting your legislators is a great idea, well, unless you live in the same district as us. At the last meeting, JJ mentioned being a messenger in Tallahassee, and he was sponsored by Representative Carlos Guillermo-Smith, not because he's our rep, but because the rep for our district, Scott Plakin, is unreachable. Jimmy Hoffa would be easier to find than Plakin. And it's worth noting, this is someone who wants to abolish unions. Actually, that's not true. He wants to abolish teacher unions, not unions for police or firefighters. Plakin supports unions, he just doesn't want teachers to have the benefit of a union. And if you care about public schools in Florida, you should also keep in mind Plakin is an enthusiastic supporter of the private scholarship program, also known as defunding Seminole County public schools. Now here's the good news, Plakin is term limited, so he's out in November. But the bad news is he wants to put his daughter into, not his daughter, oh God, his wife. He wants to put his wife into his seat. So by all means, contact your legislator, but the most important thing you can do is vote. And remember, school board elections are in August, not November. There may be a runoff in November, but mark August 23rd on your calendar for school board elections. And it doesn't matter if you're a Republican, a Democrat, an NPA, an independent, whatever you are, you can vote in the August school board elections. So research your candidates. Are they pro-public school, or are they the Liberty MAGA mob? Don't waste your vote. All right, let's go. Oh, okay.
Caden Bryant, followed by Kenneth Bentley.
Hello, my name is Caden Bryant, and I'm a junior at Oviedo High School. At the last meeting, some comments were made by misinformed parents about the Don't Say Gay bill. It helped me realize how misinterpreted the bill is. And because of this, I want to address the concerns that some parents and potentially some board members may have regarding it. I'd first like to explain that the basis of being LGBTQ+ is not inherently sexual. Yes, we are talking about sexuality, but not in a provocative or inappropriate manner. We're just talking about the right to exist. I'm not fighting to engage in sexual conduct on campus or to teach small children about non-age appropriate topics. I'm fighting for the right to live in peace. Many people think that the bill is only in place to prevent teachers from talking about inappropriate discussions, but that isn't a problem that's currently happening. No teacher would even want to do that in the first place, and it's not their job to. This bill has so many other real effects on queer students, and not just elementary ones. I'd also like to address the idea that parents should know every little thing that goes on in their children's lives. Yes, they should be aware of life-threatening or illegal activities that could potentially harm them, but being gay or trans is neither of those things. Teenagers need space to explore and understand their identity. Parents can support them by teaching them to be independent rather than to depend on them. Otherwise, teenagers will never learn how to be self-sustaining functional adults. And if a student chooses to come out to their teacher but not their parents, that shows that the child does not feel safe enough or supported enough by their parents, and that is a real issue that they should be tackling. I don't think it's justifiable for straight, cisgender, white, middle-aged people who haven't experienced much discrimination in their entire lives to speak on such matters. Let queer people talk. We are trying to tell you that there is a problem, but no one can hear us when you keep speaking over our voices. I am the one that has to deal with homophobia and transphobia, not them. I have lived through it, not them. I am suffering, not them. Parents, please don't preach hatred upon a community that's struggling just to exist. And board members, please don't take into consideration the opinion of people who this bill won't even affect. Listen to the people who are struggling, not those trying to lengthen our suffering. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Board, Superintendent. Also, I want to say congratulations to my friend, Ms. Marge Murray. Congratulations again on your retirement. I'm here today on behalf of the Barbershop Conversation in Goldsboro Front Porch, and I know you ladies can figure out what Mr. Bentley's going to say, and I am. I want Seminole County history, and Seminole County history is rich, and it includes African American history. We want that taught in middle and high schools for all students. Also, what I want to say too is that I've been so glad the last, I guess, 4 months that I've seen you all in the community. And when I say you all, I mean everybody, the superintendent, the school board members, and also the deputy superintendents. Mr. Wysong is in Goldsboro more than I am. I got to start checking on him. That's a real great thing that you're doing. People see it, and they might not come back and tell you, but they tell me. They tell Commissioner Williams that we see we are stakeholders now. They're in the community, and not that you weren't in the past, but it's different if I can see you. If I can reach out and touch you in the parades and at the community meetings and at the banquets and things like that, it's a difference. And just want to congratulate you on that. Also, I'm not here as far as a bargaining unit or anything, but one thing we're going to have to face, and we're going to have to face this as a county, not just a school board, a county, and I don't know the answer to it. But in order to keep non-instructional staff in this district, I don't know what we're going to do. Gas is $4 a gallon. Grocery prices are through the roof, and we know what they make. It's almost to your advantage to get unemployment and stay home. So we got to do some brainstorming this summer and try to figure out how to keep these non-instructional people on our list. Gas is a problem for me, and I'm not non-instructional, so I know what they're going through. And a lady told me, said, Mr. Bentley, you don't realize not only the gas and the groceries, we got daycare. So the money that we do think we're going to have, we can get that to a daycare. So please, let's, as a group, come up with something. And I also want you to know what I've been doing with some other citizens. It's easy to come up here and tell you what you're not doing. And I mentioned broadband, and I've got on a broadband committee with the county. Commissioner Jay Zimbauer appointed me to the board, and we've been meeting about broadband, and I'm glad I did get on that committee because I found out one thing. You may have broadband in your area, but if the speed is so slow, that defeats the purpose also. And then they came up with a program where they'll give each household $30, and I was like, yay, that'll help out with it, and then the price of gas went up. Mm-hmm. So you don't get the $30 now. Lastly, we're going to start back school next year, and I want you to do this, and you do this for everybody, not for African Americans. You're doing this for Asians, whites, Hispanics. When you go to these colleges like Stetson, UCF, Bethune-Cookman, look at some male teachers, and not just look at the male teachers. See which ones have certification in physics, in chemistry, and mathematics. Let these boys see some heroes besides in gym and custodial. Asians, blacks, Hispanics, white. Let them see some heroes in those other classes. It's great to have Coach Bentley, but let them know that Bentley's good in physics too. Thank you for what you do. I'm willing to work with you because we got to keep these non-instructional people here, but we can't do it with what we pay them now. Have a fantastic week, and remember it's spring. That's why I got on this seat.
Ed Meeson, followed by Raquel Molina. Okay, thank you. Raquel Molina.
Good evening. My name is Raquel Molina, the mother of Emily Paz, which I'm sure you guys are all informed of all the issues I've had in Seminole County Public School the last 4 years. And administrators did absolutely nothing to improve the situation and improve the ESE department, which I'm ashamed of saying that. I never expected something like that to occur in Seminole County Public School. Emily has been in Seminole County Public Schools since the age of 3 years old. 3 years old. Next month, on the 5th of May, she's aging out of high school, but she graduated. Thank God to her principal at Winter Springs High School, Mr. Gaffney, and thank God for 2 awesome ethical teachers, Ms. Phelps and Ms. Alabush. They know they're awesome because I remind them all the time. And Mr. Gaffney, he goes above and beyond. Thank God for good teachers. Thank God for good principal. I don't appreciate unethical administrators, much less when they don't protect our ESE students. I'm sure, I have things written down, but it's just coming out of my mind, my heart, I should say. I'm sure there's a lot of people here that thought that Emily wasn't going to graduate from high school. Why? Because she can't read and write. She wasn't given the opportunity. I tried at home, but she needed the extra support from the IEP team. The team, I'm sure they wanted to help. Unfortunately, the teachers couldn't. They couldn't help because it's all based on what administrators want. You know what they want? Money in their pocket. They care less about our kids, much less our ESE kids, and I'm ashamed to say that. You guys failed my daughter and failed a lot of ESE kids. And I'm ashamed. It's embarrassing to say that this is occurring in Seminole County. Because years back, this never occurred. I mean, if it did, I wasn't aware of it. But once she entered that first year in high school at Lyman High School, it went all downhill. Why? Because this parent over here spoke up. I don't care what people think about me. I don't care. They know who I am. I am very respectful. But one thing I do is, I do speak up when people are unethical, and he's one of them. Please follow your mission. I'm going to follow my mission. I'm going to continue protecting my child, advocating for my child, and advocating for all the ESE students and all the other students in this county. Something that he should have been doing.
Ms. Molina, your time is up. Thank you.
All the administrators, thank you.
Nona Sandberg.
Hi, I'm Nina Sandberg. Seminole County Public Schools are supposed to be nonpartisan, non-political, non-religious, and non-sexual. They are supposed to be completely neutral like Switzerland because they have to serve all political parties, religions, cultures, ethnicities, races, etc. SCPS employees are not supposed to be spewing political, religious, or sexual propaganda to other people's children at school. SCPS employees are not supposed to be talking about partisan politics, religion, or sex with other people's children. SCPS employees are not supposed to be displaying political special interest flags in their classrooms. SCPS employees are not supposed to be doing any political, religious, or sexual indoctrination or conversion of other people's children at school. SCPS employees are not supposed to be using SCPS as a vehicle for political, religious, or sexual activism. SCPS employees are not supposed to be using SCPS as a campaign office for their political party. SCPS is not supposed to be allowing any of the above, period. Why are my children's schools being used as campaign offices for the Democrat Party this year? Why are they even talking about partisan political matters or sexual matters with my children at school this year? This is not appropriate and it needs to stop. If you want to have sex clubs or classes before or after school that are optional and that parents sign their kids up for, then go ahead. But during the normal school day, keep partisan politics, religion, and sex out of my children's educations. It's not appropriate. I never consented to it or gave my permission for it. It's not professional, moral, or ethical, and it needs to stop. The critical race theory, Marxist identity politics, left-wing propaganda, and all its derivatives under other names needs to be removed from my child's educations immediately. It is not appropriate. You are not allowed to lead my children around like dumb cows to participate in political protesting about adult matters that they know nothing about at school. If SCPS employees or students want to do political protesting, they need to do it on their own time, on their own dime, and before or after school or on the weekends. They are not allowed to disrupt my children's education for their personal political activist causes. I expect way more in educational professionalism and ethics from SCPS than this. None of what I have just described is appropriate, and it all needs to stop immediately. And by the way, everything that Denise Hernandez says about Indian Trails Middle School is true. You have big problems there, and you need to fix them immediately.
Jessica Tillman, followed by Leslie Kirschenbaum.
Good evening. My name is Jessica Tillman. I'm a Longwood resident. And I've said it before, and I'll say it again. You're not following your public participation in public meetings policy. There's nothing on there that says that it has to be an agenda item to get 6 minutes. Just because it's not on your agenda doesn't mean it's not important to this district. As you can hear from these public comments, there are things that you need to address. And just because it's not on your agenda doesn't mean it's not important. This district likes to showboat all of the fantastic accolades that they have done. It's great. Don't get me wrong. I agree that these students should be praised for their athletic abilities. It's fantastic. I was a high school athlete. It's a fantastic thing to be involved with. But to ignore all of the issues that are going on, you want us to clap at the beginning of the meeting, but not during public comment because we're talking about issues across the district. So that's a little hypocritical. We are simply asking for our children to be educated with curriculum. So I'm glad that there was curriculum on the agenda. I would love to see assignments based on the curriculum, not from supplemental material like Brain Pop and Khan Academy and CNN 10. Why can't we get CNN 10 removed from the classroom? Why are we showing these kids 10 minutes of CNN every single day? It's inappropriate. There is a district in Pennsylvania that removed CNN 10 from their schools. I would like to see that in SCPS. We are asking the district for accountability, structure, consistency, discipline, and transparency. My kindergartner will be in SCPS next year. I'm going to a campus tour on Tuesday. I would like to make sure that the mask signs for COVID are removed from all schools before we get there. My kindergartner is very smart. He can read very well. I don't want him reading signs in his new school that says, wear a mask because you care for somebody else. They need to be removed. We've asked many, many times for blanket instruction for these signs to be removed. Please do it. We are asking the district to show leadership and to hold students, teachers, administrators, and yourselves accountable to one's actions. When you do school visits, you need to visit all those kids, not just the smart ones. I've heard that the regular kids know that you're not going to visit them because they're not accelerated. Visit all the kids, not just the smart ones. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Leslie Kirschenbaum. Good evening. It's Autism Awareness Month, and with that, I'm going to open with saying IEP advocates. Are they a free service, or are they a service that SCPS has for parents that do not understand IEP or services that are offered in the IEP? Many parents do not know what to ask for, what services are available, and many have to hire an independent IEP advocate. Should that not be a free service? We assign IEPs expecting a parent who never dealt with something like this on IEP to expect to know and implement it. But there's so many things we do not know. I am one of them. I'm here to tell you that my son is a case study on how masks affected speech impairment and delayed so many children who were already affected by a disability to struggle more to recognize language, speech, and any social cues. June 2020 all the way through March 2022, my son got the Kids Are Resilient approach of teaching him. From March 2022 and present, my son's speech and social skills have dramatically changed, literally night and day. So what changed? Was it my son now being able to see his teachers and his therapist's mouths to understand language? Perhaps. As much as I'm grateful to Seminole County for being more relaxed than other nearby counties, I can't let go of the anger that I have as a parent who came here every month to advocate to unmask our kids and the teachers teaching our children. The damage is done. The repairs to fix what 2 years of masking has done to our kids is now being studied. And I, for one, will continue to advocate the effects masks had on education, especially to learning disabled children. On another note, Misa in the dividend department is phenomenal. She is what a true bipartisan individual looks like and sets her political affiliation to the side to work for the best interest of everyone involved. She truly is a breath of fresh air, and as a new volunteer in the SCPS schools, I look forward to working closely with teachers, admins, parents, and children to help better serve them. Because if you haven't heard already, 2022 is the year of the parents. We are here, we are present, we are watching everything. We will forever thank the broken school system for bringing to light during the pandemic how truly broken our public school system is. That's pretty much all I have to say, ladies. Thank you very much, and have a good evening.
That concludes public comment. Superintendent, do you have a recommendation on the consent agenda?
Yes, that the consent agenda be approved as presented.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any discussion? Any opposition? Motion carries. Superintendent, do you have discipline recommendations?
Yes, that the School Board of Seminole County approve the student disciplinary recommendations for February 28, 2022 and March 22, 2022.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any discussion? Any opposition? Motion carries. Superintendent, do you have a superintendent report?
It is read-only and is included in the agenda.
Okay. And board committee update, Vice Chair Sanchez.
Central Florida Zoo, we have the brews for the zoo this weekend coming up, as well as some of the summer camps, if you are interested in signing up your children for that. Also, don't forget that they are, April is Earth Awareness Month, and I know that April 1st, Seminole Soil and Water Conservation did an amazing job with their state annual land judging competition. Actually, they sent out a lot to our schools, but nobody was from our county, which is very disturbing, and I would hope that next year that our schools do perform in this with the Future Farmers of America 4-H, which I happen to be a very big part of when I was growing up. And but it was held here for the first time, and over 500 students here in the Seminole County area, but none from our county. So yeah, very disappointing. Hoping that that changes and that our teachers realize how important that is a part of science as well. And I have my Central Florida School Board Coalition meeting in about a week, and that's all for committee. Do you want me to go ahead and do my other report too now, or no? Or should I wait? No, I mean, like, I know you said committee report, so should I just?
Yeah.
Okay, and I'm just going to do a couple and let you all do your rest, so I won't take a long time. Allie's Hope, mental health awareness. If you haven't had a chance to see the video that Vanessa Eccles did, please go onto Allie's Hope page. Allie was one of our students that died by suicide, and I sit on that board with Joe Gallagher and many other phenomenal people. It actually is very moving, and what our Lake Mary High School students have done over there and with the donations that we have had. I'm hoping that we can do this at all schools and have a safe space for everybody and keep mental health at the forefront for everything. And please, check out some of the Rosenwald community workshops that are happening. Tuesday, April 12th, there will be some that are for the public. There's also some online, and I know that we're doing some, and I'm hoping that they will be archived so we can have openings for everybody to see it, since it should be for everyone and not held to a certain amount of people. And National Poetry Month, extremely important. Writing poetry. I'm going to let them all talk about all the other different wonderful events that we have. Autism Awareness Month, and SGA, the students that spoke to us last week, amazing, and we appreciate their voices, and we hope that others speak on behalf of them as well. And one more thing, we did have an open board discussion earlier today, and input would be wonderful about how we are going to make sure that our veteran teachers, psychologists, social workers, and all of them get the pay increases that they need. With the $5.7 million that we have coming from the state, it's clearly not enough. And we have to think out of the box, and we really need to look at this and see what we're going to do, because it's going to take a village for this. Thank you.
Member Kraus.
Thank you. I have like 6 pages because we haven't met since March 8th. We all celebrated the Employee of the Year, which was a fabulous event. We attended the Good Samaritan Luncheon for the Sharing Center, and they hopefully raised a lot of money to support the transitional families in need for our county. I was able to tour Siemens Gamesa, the wind turbine training center that is located right in our backyard. And I went with Winter Springs High School environmental students, and they were very curious, and they asked fabulous questions as possible pathway for future employment, whether that be the engineers that design these wind turbines or the technicians like my son that work on them. So they were very excited. It was a great field trip, and I think the teacher from Winter Springs, I'm sorry, I'm drawing a blank from his name, attended Taste of Oviedo, and I got to hear Rainbow Elementary Strings, their violinists perform. And that was a fabulous presentation. We also attended Taste of Lake Mary, went to Geneva Elementary School for the fire department of Geneva obtained their first airboat, and the students at Geneva Elementary were able to name it the Fire Falcon, so they had an unveiling of that. And then finally, I went to, this isn't finally, but I'll stop after this one. Our superintendent was invited to the Oviedo Rotary to do a presentation of all good things in Seminole County, and I was pleased to be there with her to show support. And I'll save the rest for some of you. Thank you.
Thank you. Most of us attended the Lyman Business Partners Breakfast, and it was they gave a great overview of the needs and gave many options if people in the community wanted to support. We unveiled our 3rd physics bus, electricity and magnetism, and that was awesome. Middle school reading to lead competition was very impressive. The kids were rocking it. They had a really good time. We're very impressed with them. United Negro College Fund named their champion of education for this year, Dr. Connie Collins, principal of Teague Middle School. And I'll do 2 more. Rube Goldberg competition this past weekend was a lot of fun, a lot of creativity. Some kids had really complex machines that they built, and others had very simple, and they both accomplished the same thing at the end of the day. And then tomorrow, member Ms. Beeman will speak at the Castleberry Chamber in the daytime. Then in the evening, all of you are joining. Thank you for the scholars reception. There'll be 7 scholarships, 2 for Winter Springs, 3 for Lake Howell, and 2 for Lyman. So that concludes my report. Thank you.
Good. I got to cross a lot of mine off. I just want to give a shout out to the Orlando Science Center. I sit on that board, but they provided all the prizes for the Rube Goldberg competition this weekend, so I hope the winners get to enjoy their trip there. Speaking of the Orlando Science Center, their biggest fundraiser of the year is April 23rd, the Science of Wine, that will take place at the Orlando Science Center if anybody wanted to go to show support. Yesterday, we all attended to support the foundation's Tee It Up program to raise funds for both Seminole State College Foundation and the Foundation for Seminole County Public Schools at Topgolf. And if anyone wants to see some great artwork, you should go out to the Seminole Town Center through April 10th. We have our spring art show there. Great artwork there. Shout out to all our mathletes. Saturday, Seminole State College hosted our high school math competition, and the kids did a great job as always. And many of us fought the rain on Saturday and attended the Strings Day out at Lake Howell High School. It was phenomenal. If only they could fit in Steinmetz Hall. I couldn't even imagine the sound, but to see anywhere from K through 12, well, actually, further than that, we had many of our administrators playing. Mr. Rice played, Miss Dillinger, who else over there? Oh, Mr. Senko, yes.
Dr. Williams.
That's right. I thought about the crowd and I volunteered to be in the audience instead of participating. Shout out to Jed up in the booth. We know this is your last board meeting and we'll miss you very much. And I just wanted to give a shout out to some of our unsung heroes. A lot of times people go right to the principal, but this is Assistant Principals Week, and we know they are the heart, soul of all of our schools out there. So I just wanted to say that your board loves you and we appreciate all you do. At Alley's Hope Golf Tournament in the last few weeks, Lake Mary High School students who run the podcast and Dr. Reynolds were there, and they really represented us well and shared with a group of business leaders. It made them very emotional to understand, what students are going through these days. And thank you to our Wellness Committee for hosting John Gordon, for so many of us who had the opportunity to attend last week, to refocus on our mission and to ensure that we work in teams. And I thought the message was wonderful, and it was nice to sit with you all. So that concludes my report.
You guys are making me dig. So Ms. Almond already mentioned the release of the physics bus, but I wanted to share that I had reached out to Paul Cottle at FSU just to say, look what we're doing. You were involved in the beginning. And he congratulated us and coined the term Seminole County.
Yes.
Thought that was something neat. It was big kudos from him and his team at FSU. I got to speak at a class, doctorate level at UCF with Dr. Gordon, who sits on the audit committee with me, about what it's like to be on the school board and what we do and how we govern. And that was a really fun and entertaining opportunity. If you guys would like that opportunity, I'd be happy to connect you. It was, they had some great questions that I'd never been asked before that really made me reach and dig, and it was great. April 9th, we have an intern fair at Lyman High School from 9 to 12. Right now is controlled open enrollment for students wanting to go to different schools. This week is FSA testing. Good luck to all the students. Thank you to all the teachers. I'm hearing so many positive accolades. This is what we worked for. I know my students are going to do great, and it's just wonderful to see that. And I think we're down to 37 days left of school, which is I don't know how this year flew by, but it did. And Jed, we wish you well. We're going to miss you. I told him. We love you. We love you. We appreciate you. We wish you well. Please come back and visit us. And with that,
Do that again, we got to get a picture.
with that, this adjourns today's board meeting. Thank you, everyone.